Welcome back to the Fly Fishing Insider Podcast. This is Christian, your host. This tip of the week is about prospecting with the dry dropper and how I like to set that up. In my opinion, this is the best way to do that from a scenario of pure prospecting. Typical way to tie in dry dropper scenario is through the bend. So you tie off the bend or through the eye. In this case, I actually tie into the main line, which is your tapered leader. So if you see here, as I slide that up, that knot comes up the leader end. What that allows me to do is not only change the dropper scenario, which is very easy, cut it off, tie a new one on, but in this scenario, I can change the dry fly itself without having to retie the dropper back on. So it's a little faster. So say you go into the shop says to you, hey look, not a lot of things going off, but people are having luck with the chubby Chernobyl. That's what I put on and just throw a dropper on until you figure it out. Okay, cool, great scenario. I go out there, start fishing. I'm not really picking up fish on the dry, or maybe I'm picking them up on the dropper, but not the dry. I'm getting looks, etc. So I'm going to change out my fly, or I start to see a hatch coming off. In this example, we use we start seeing a hatch come off, and we're going to go address it. So pull our rig into the boat. We clip off our dry fly. My leader stays intact. I slide my knot up on my dropper, get myself some working line. All right. So my knot's way up there, you can see that. End of my line, I grab my fly box, reaching my fly box. In this case, we're going to say, oh, yeah, we got some drakes going off. So we're going to start throwing green drakes. They're hitting them like candy. Awesome day on the river. I grab my main line. I thread my drake. Boom. My little trick here, I take my fly, I pull it tight on my line. I always make sure my tag's out 90 degrees from my fingers. See that? 90 degrees. I make a loop. So now you have your fly on a bite of line, right? There's your bite of line. Here's your tag end out on the 90 degrees. Take my forceps, stick it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I grab the tag. That's why I had it at 90, so I knew where it was at. I pull it through the bite. I let it hang. And then I lick it, and I pull it tight. Here's my knot. The tag's usually pretty short, so I don't even have to trim it. If they're not going to see all this, they're not going to see that. It looks like another leg or whatever, or a cripple. But for those of you guys that like to trim it tight, boom. I cut it off tight. Now I take my dropper, and you'll see I start to pull that line down. Boom. Hits the stopper knot. Now my rig's ready to go. I didn't have to re-rig my dropper in that scenario. So there's your tip of the week. How to rig a dry dropper, in my opinion, best way to do it for prospecting. We'll see you next week.